A brand new poll released today that would shed some light a little bit, at least, on this whole situation with DeSantis, ReedyCreek, and the Walt Disney Company, kind of putting the finger on the pulse of Americans to see kind of where they stand in regards to Governor Ron DeSantis's approach, his sort of retaliatory approach towards the Walt Disney Company. We're going to talk about this poll. It's fascinating stuff up next. Welcome aboard to another episode of OG50. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about DeSantis. I'm going to talk to you guys about ReedyCreek. I'm going to talk to you guys about the Walt Disney Company, because this has been the talk of the town for weeks, actually even months, to be quite honest with you. But there was a poll, and I believe actually as of today, April 29th, I believe this is the only poll that's been done on this subject matter, right? So those of you that watch my channel, you guys are Disney nerds, right? You guys are nerds. You guys understand what's going on here with this whole drama fest with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the Walt Disney Company, right? Disney came out, Bob Chapek came out against the Florida bill. They made a press release basically stating that they're going to work to repeal the bill. And DeSantis and his legislature voted to strip Disney of their governing powers in Florida, right? And their governmental body, so to speak, in Florida is ReedyCreek. So they're stripping these special privileges away from Disney in retaliation for kind of speaking out against the bill, sort of, saying that they're going to try to repeal it and what have you, right? You guys all know the story basically, but I'm kind of giving you a little bit of a refresher. Okay. So today Reuters did release a poll in regards to what do Americans think of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis punishing the Walt Disney Company for speaking out against the bill. What do Americans think? And honestly, the results kind of surprised me, but they kind of didn't. Let's go over them and we'll dive right in. There's a lot to discuss here. Okay. So it says here, Americans do not support politicians punishing firms for their views. This is a Reuters Ipsos poll that was released today. Okay. It says here, a bipartisan majority of U.S. voters oppose politicians punishing companies over their stance on social issues. A cold reception for campaigns like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis against the Walt Disney Company, a Reuters poll found. The two-day poll completed on Thursday showed that 62% of Americans, including 68% of Democrats, not too surprising, and 55% of Republicans, very surprising, said they were less likely to back a candidate who supports going after companies for their views. It says here, DeSantis signed a bill last week that strips Disney of self-governing authority as its Orlando area parks in retaliation for opposition to a new Florida law that limits the teaching of LGBTQ issues in schools. Okay, it says here, for DeSantis, a rising star in the Republican Party, it was an attempt to bolster his conservative credentials as a culture warrior ahead of possible run for 2024 presidential nomination. Okay, here's the thing. Okay, now here's the thing. There's so much going on here. Now, I want to make it very clear. One poll is a very small snapshot of a situation. You should never take one poll at its word and run with it. No matter what the poll says. I don't care if you agree with the poll, disagree with the poll. One poll, it means something for sure. They polled people and it means something for sure. But you don't want to base everything on that. really the most accurate way to sort of gauge public perception is really an aggregate. Okay. And what an aggregate is basically a series of polls and kind of like the average of a bunch of polls. That's really how you get the most accurate kind of gauge as to where the public is at. Now, with that said, this being one poll, I even though I believe that we need more polls to kind of get a more accurate read on the situation, I do think this particular poll at least makes a statement. Okay. Number one, Reuters is not known to be like this ultra biased, ultra partisan kind of organization. They're just not. Okay. They're well respected. This isn't, like a Fox News poll or a CNN poll or an MSNBC poll. Reuters is pretty even Steven when it comes to this stuff for the most part. As even Steven as you can get, that's Reuters. Okay. So that's interesting. It's very, very interesting. 55% of Republicans oppose this. Now, I've said in many videos, look, there is a percentage of the Republican Party, this old school kind of Reagan conservative, that wants to get government out of the way. Big government is a dirty word. It's a bad word. And when you have like Governor Ron DeSantis going, hey, you know what, Disney? I don't like what you're saying, so I'm going to insert more government into your situation. And not only am I going to insert more government into your situation, I'm potentially going to raise taxes too because of this whole thing, right? So those are two big no-nos when it comes to like old school conservatives: raising taxes and more government. And it's really kind of like, it's surprising that like 55% of Republicans are against what DeSantis is doing. But then again, it's really not too surprising because look, if you look at what he's doing, potentially raising people's taxes by doing this and inserting more government into the situation, these are two things that a lot of conservatives are fundamentally against. Okay? Fundamentally against. So it's not too shocking. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, but Orange Grove, that's old school conservatives. Like, what about the new conservatives? Like, well, hey, look, Jenna Ellis, former Trump attorney, okay, which would be the new conservatives. She's been very open and very public about her disapproval of how DeSantis is sort of handling this. It's a slippery slope. And I've said this before. Look, conservatives, just hear me out here. If this was California and there was a conservative company, say Goya, right? Goya had a special deal with the state of California since 1967. And there was a California bill, whatever, it doesn't even matter what it is, that was passed, and Goya was against the bill. So Governor Gavin Newsom decided, you know what, Goya, we don't like your opinion on the bill. We don't like the fact that you're going to kind of campaign against the bill. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take away your special privileges here in California because of your opinion. Conservatives, really think about that. How would you feel about that situation? Honestly, I could tell you probably wouldn't be too happy with it. You wouldn't be too cool with it. Okay, so be very, very cognizant of that. Do not go into this going, yeah, fuck woke Disney, fuck them. I understand there's that temptation to do that, but this is a very slippery slope that Governor DeSantis is going down here by overtly, really openly punishing Disney for their political views. Very, very dangerous, very, very slippery slope, right? So anyway, it says here, but even when prompted along the lines of DeSantis's own argument for his action, the laws should remove benefits of government tax breaks from corporations that push a woke agenda. 36% of Republicans nationally said they would be less likely to support a candidate with such a view. Okay, 36%. That's a massive number. A massive number. That's a huge chunk of the Republican Party that says we don't want anything to do with this. Here's the thing. This is the problem with DeSantis's whole approach to this thing. He got his bill. He passed his bill. The bill that he wanted is law. You won. Governor DeSantis, you won. Leave it alone. Who cares what Disney is saying? It doesn't really matter. Disney is not the government. Disney does not make laws. Disney can say whatever they want. You got your bill, Governor DeSantis. Leave it the fuck alone. But no, he couldn't do that. He couldn't leave well enough alone. He's got to poke the beehive and double down and get more deep into the mud. And this is the problem. This is a very risky endeavor for Governor DeSantis. There has not been an economic impact study done on the impact for this. Nobody knows officially what's going to happen. Okay. This could be a disaster, both for Disney, both for the county, both for the state of Florida, taxpayers, right? For what? For what? He passed his bill. Why are we even doing this? It's pointless. Absolutely pointless. It's just spiteful and kind of petty, to be quite honest with you. So it says here, presented with a list of prominent politicians, a full 25% of Republican respondents said DeSantis best represents the values of their party, second only to former President Donald Trump, who is favored by 40% of Republicans. Texas Governor Greg Abbott garnered 9%. So look, here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's not a good look for any government to like so overtly, so openly retaliate against the company for what I consider free speech. Okay. For a party that's all about free speech. That's what we hear from the Republicans. They're all about free speech. They're all about small government, get government out of the way, lower taxes. This move by DeSantis goes against all of that. All of it. Okay. And it didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to be this way. He got the bill. Leave it alone. Now, I know a lot of people are going to tell me, well, but Orange Grove, Reuters, can we really trust Reuters? Well, here's the thing. Yeah, I think you can. It says here, over a data set of 1,000 articles, Reuters scored an average factual grade of 70.4%. This is well above the average of 61.9% for all 240 news sources that we analyzed, placing Reuters in the 88th percentile of our data set. These high scores are attributed to Reuters' consistent journalistic practices that involve extensive sourcing and neutral, largely unbiased reporting. I will link this down below. You can read on it. Reuters, like I said earlier in this video, is one of the most biased, kind of even Steven, middle of the road outlets you can really go with. Okay, it's not Fox News, it's not MSNBC, it's not CNN, it's not Newsmax. This is a very kind of middle of the road, neutral source that we're seeing here with this poll. It just is. It's a very trusted, respected outlet. Okay. Now, again, I want to make it very clear. One poll is not the end all be all, no matter what it is. You really want to have an aggregate. So let's keep an eye on this, because if we get another poll in say 2 weeks and it's similar to the Reuters poll, then we're starting to get a good picture as to how Americans really feel. Okay. So we're going to have to get a few more polls to really get that aggregate and to really kind of get a feeling for where Americans stand. But look, if I was Governor DeSantis, if I was on Team DeSantis, I wouldn't completely disregard this. You should definitely sit up and take notice. Okay. This is not a CNN poll. Okay. This is a pretty respected news organization. And while it doesn't mean the end of the world for DeSantis, it certainly is something that I think his team should definitely respect and take notice of. Now, all eyes are on the next poll. Let's see if Reuters or another news organization does another poll. Like I said, that's really going to kind of give us a much better picture. But I want to know what you guys think about this whole situation, because look, as I said before, the Florida legislature and DeSantis really rushed this thing through, in my opinion, because they knew it was going to get some backlash because they knew the financials aren't that great when you really dive into it. So you gotta ram that puppy through. That way, you know, you get it passed before people really look into it. That's just my opinion. But hey, maybe that's not the case. I don't know. But what do you guys think about this whole situation with the poll? What do you, how do you feel about it? Are you kind of like, hey, you know what? I don't trust it. What, just where do you stand? Let's talk about it in the comments civilly. I would love to hear from you. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day.